All right, we'll get started. Kelly, I'll let you take it over and I'll let you introduce yourself and all that good stuff.
Sure. Make sure I know what I'm doing here.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm Kelly Pierce and I am the state supervisor for career development and career advisors at the North Dakota Department of Career and Technical Education. And my topic today is going to be career exploration and planning, career education, and DPI's continuum. So that's where I'm at, and that's what you're going to hear about. So if that's not what you wanted, then oops. So okay, to share a screen, I might need a tutorial.
So right on the bottom,
Yeah.
mine's green and it says share screen. And it's a box with an arrow in it pointing up. There, yep, I can see it.
Okay. So now it went to the screen.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, looks good.
All right. So I would like for you guys to just take a minute right now and use the chat because I thought we were going to have more people here, but all the occupations that you can think of for a minute, just keep typing in the chat and see how many we can come up with in a minute.
Any occupation?
Any occupation that you can think of, and we'll see if we can get all of them that there are in the world. Michael, you participate too. Okay, time's up. Did we get close to the 10,000 plus jobs that are out there in the world?
We did not.
Okay, and just think, you guys have a great list going, started and whatever, and think about all of the experiences that we have and all the exposure we've had in our lifetimes as a group to come up with this list. And then we're expecting students, to know about all the occupations that are out there, and their experience is pretty limited. So their list is going to be much, much shorter than ours, right? And so I think that our job as educators is to make sure that our kids get to have some of that experience vicariously through all the different ways that we can provide them those experiences, right? So hang on a second, it's not, how do I make it go forward to the next slide? Do you know?
It's not, if you push enter or you push your arrow button, it won't click over. Shoot.
Nobody else has had this problem, right? Just me.
Yeah. Amy, do you have any ideas? She's more techie than I am.
No, I don't know, but I'm sure that I'll have the same problem in just a moment.
Okay.
So Kelly, when you shared your screen, did you share the whole screen or just the application? Like, did you share the PowerPoint or the whole screen?
I put the PowerPoint up like it is right now. And then I pushed start from beginning. But we can do it like this. This will work, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, I think somebody else did have that, Mandy. Maybe it wasn't this meeting. But I remember someone else in some situation having to go through their slides like this.
I bet it was Julie.
Yeah. This works. This is just fine.
Okay. So American School Counseling Association has made career one of its priorities. And as the counselors that are attending this are aware, there's a career domain as part of the 2012 ASCA model. And then after 2012, they created what they call mindsets and behaviors, which are competencies that they allow counselors to demonstrate across the 3 domains. And so those mindsets and behaviors can be incorporated into the career domain. So ASCA has made this a priority in a school counseling program, not just if you're a CTE funded program, but any school counseling program should be making sure that there is some career as part of their programming. DPI has also made career exploration and planning or career education a priority, and it was incorporated into their strategic plan several years ago, and it's been updated and it continues to be part of their strategic plan. When I send this PowerPoint to you guys, all of these are live links so people can go in and check out and see what is actually on DPI's website related to their strategic planning. But keep up with my notes. North Dakota schools have also made career education a priority. Do you guys know what your mission is at your school? If you do, can you type in your school mission? Okay, what I found online for some just examples, to nurture students by supporting their individual growth, to cultivate relationships and promote growth with every student, striving for integrity and excellence, and challenging all to meet their academic and life goals while inspiring lifelong learning. I would imagine that whatever school that you're at, that your mission statement is probably very similar. And I don't think that we can, as school districts, that we can meet our missions without including career planning. So we're going back to the work done by a subcommittee of the Strategic Planning Committee, and they were charged with looking at the career theme that's throughout the strategic plan. And they developed 4 pillars related to career exploration in our school systems for the state of North Dakota. And those 4 pillars include parents, teachers or educators, teachers and counselors, community leaders, and students is number 4. As far as teachers, because that's this audience, the expectations from DPI's stance in relationship to the strategic plan is that number 1, schools and need to incorporate career integration across the K-12 curriculum. That they are supposed to supervise, support, and encourage students to participate in workplace experiences and implement career-ready practices. Michael's going to be talking about those later on, so I'm not going to address them now, but so we have a responsibility based on the state strategic plan. Here's what the strategic plan says are the students' expectations. They're going to develop employment readiness skills, and these are the 8 points that they have listed under what they consider employment readiness skills. Utilizing career ready practices, so there's that term again that Michael's going to be talking about, and incorporating experiential career exploration, and that's across grades K through 12. Then they divided some other activities out, K-6, exploring potential career opportunities. 5-8, learning the process of making occupational choices and weighing options. 7-12, enhance exploration by actively engaging. So having some kind of feedback from them related to those experiences that they're participating in. 9-12, developing the ability to make occupational choices and weigh their job options. And then learning about the job application process. And then for 9 and 12, consider participating in work-based experiences. And that's because that age group can start to filter into the work setting. Prior to that, they might not be old enough for certain jobs. And so I think that's why the committee felt that this was important here. You can see that as this progresses from like the K-12 or the K-6 up to the 12th grade, it shifts from more exploratory action activities to more participation-based activities. And so this has led DPI in collaboration with CTE to create the North Dakota Career Planning Continuum. And this is what, this is a DPI initiative. And they're working with us on it, but this is how they think that career development or career planning should progress through the school system. And we're going to skip the post-secondary for right now because we don't do a lot with them as much as I do with the other areas. And I don't think that that is part of our audience right now, but we're going to start with the end in mind and work backwards through this continuum. I hope that makes sense to you as we walk through it. So, oh, and before I move on, I want you to come back to this, what the student expectations were. And they talk about experiential, they talk about learning, and they talk about work-based. So in this slide, you can see that we divided activities into those 3 realms. And we're going to start with the learning through work. And so this is the secondary. So 9-12, these are what our activities should focus on at this level, is getting the kids into the work settings and having more hands-on types of experiences with their exploration. So learning through work, and the end goal here is that students, your seniors, should be able to say, I know the kinds of things I want to do, and I'm getting a chance to learn new skills and practice applying those skills. That's the ultimate goal, right? And so we have 9, 10, 11, and 12 to get the seniors ready for that statement. So the information that's underneath the headings here, the structured lessons, experiential exploration, and work-based learning, comes from, I pulled this data out of the programs of work that CTE funded school counselors are required to submit. And so these are the activities and the lessons that counselors from across the state are already doing with our students. So at the high school level, we're doing a pretty good job of covering these areas with kids, right? In looking through, if you were going to use this as an evaluation tool for your programming, things that you might want to consider adding to your program of work or your school counseling programming for the career domain are the items in blue. So high school, we typically are pretty heavy with career development in high school, and more so even 11th and 12th grade. It seems like they're the ones who get hit hardest. And that's a little bit late, according to this continuum, for some of that work, because that's a lot to cram into 2 years, where we could spread it out and make it a smoother transition between the different phases. Any questions so far you guys have? Okay. So then a real quick break again. I want you to take a look at this North Dakota map and pick any community except Bismarck off of this map. And then I want you to see how many different ways you can take to get to Bismarck from the community you chose. Is there only one way to get from point A to point B? Not so much. There's a fastest way. There's the most scenic way. There's all different ways to get from wherever you selected to the state capital. The same holds true for how students get from school to work. There are lots and lots of different pathways, and when do we introduce those to kids? Apprenticeships, on-the-job training, certification programs, 2-year, 4-year schools. I don't know, but I'm guilty of probably not till it was too late. I mean, how to, kids, maybe juniors and seniors, we started talking about the different ways that they could get. Military is another option, right? And if you look at what is reported on our programs of work for middle school, this is a pretty lean list of activities that's happening, even though there's a mandate in our state that there should be some kind of individual sessions happening or a class that provides career exploration, talks about their interest inventory, and then links their interest inventory to occupations. And then the occupation should be driving their choice selection for high school. This is pretty lean. When I presented this to the counselors at PDC, they got a little defensive because some of them that were at the conference that do more with the middle school don't have it reported on their program of work, or they're not required to submit a program of work, because I have some people that come that don't have to submit. But the point is that this is an area that we're missing, and we're probably as a state a little bit weak in the middle school and career exploration and planning. To bump it up, we could start adding some of these things to the mix. And I think, and this is just my opinion on it, but if I start this with end in mind and say my SMART goal for my program is that all my seniors, by the end of my senior year, 80% of my seniors are going to have completed a work-based learning experience, right? That's probably a realistic goal in our small communities, because it's not very many kids. And work-based to me is sustained interaction with industry or business, and or a simulation that's approved by the program area supervisors. So we want 80% of our kids to complete an activity like that the last part of their senior year. What do I, as an educator, as a counselor, do I need to do to get my seniors ready to go out into the workforce? Do they need to have they identified the occupations that would be most beneficial for them to explore in that manner? Do they know how to apply for a job and do an interview and complete a resume? So those are some of the things that maybe as seniors, we need to focus on that piece. So if I'm going to do those things with my seniors, what am I going to do with my juniors, so that my juniors are ready to complete those activities? And the way my brain works, going backwards to create the action steps for each grade level is how it works for me. And I think that's something. And I think if we were to do that, we'd see a shift, because I think job shadows for seniors are a little late in most cases. I think job shadows should be happening at junior or sophomore level. I think our industry tours, maybe sophomores and freshmen, so that they can pick appropriate job shadow experiences. So then that pushes some things down into the junior high, which would beef up our programming there too. I think guest speakers, there's lunch and learns and those kinds of things that could happen with our middle school students to expose them to what's happening. I know that a lot of schools utilize the extension service and do the reality check for their students, which is a really good exploration, and it connects wages with actual living expenses and some of those things. So I think as a whole, the middle school is an area where we need to focus. And if we build our plan backwards, I think that would remedy itself as well. So elementary education. This information I don't collect on my program of work. I sent a survey out to counselors to respond to what they were doing with students in the elementary levels. And so this is what their response was. And this is, because this is an exploration, I'm just learning about work. This seems okay. I understand what's out there and I'm discovering what kinds of things I might like to do. You guys have worked with elementary. They have very little world experience. Some of them don't even know what their parents do for a job. So for us to, start with something as simple as a school field trip where it becomes not a field trip, but an industry tour. If we call them an industry tour instead of a field trip, or to the fire station, and to have the conversation about, yes, there are firemen at the fire station, but what other occupations are there that are needed in order for that to be a functioning fire station, right? In the school, if you ask the kids who works at the school, I bet they forget the cooks and the janitorial staff and, the paras and stuff, the teachers and maybe the principal is what they're going to catch. So having the conversations about the simple things that we're already doing at the elementary level will help strengthen career exploration and planning there. They talk about in here, this is some of the blue is from what other states have considered, age appropriate, right? Age appropriate. Elementary has a wide range of maturity. If you think about pre-K to 6th grade, what they're capable of understanding and handling is way beyond. Career fairs, I don't know that I would. You could do a local one in the school and have the kids participate. I did it and had entrepreneurs from the city come in and do just little presentations on Groundhog Day or whatever it was that we were supposed to do way back in 100 years ago when I was in the classroom. So, or have your older students, your middle school students, create a job fair or create a career fair presentation that they could share with the elementary kids, right? So you're going to tweak some of these ideas if you think out of the box just a little bit with them. And like I said, post-secondary, I'm kind of just going to schmooze over that. I got to be done in a little bit because I told Michael I'd finish in half hour. So on our website, I know this is teeny tiny, but these are resources and they're all live links on our website. And the link is up here. We're supposed to be user friendly, but not so much. It's like you get to our website and you click on program educators, then program areas, then career development, then choice ready and career planning continuum resources, and then click one more thing and whatever, and you get to this. But it'll be in this PowerPoint. And I don't know, does it make it bigger if I stretch it on my screen? But there's bibliographies on here. There are, I had an ask for like 5 lessons per grade level. So we found that from the California Career Resource Network. So on the website, these links are all there and they're all live. And that's a little less than a half an hour. So questions for me, I hope that is helpful and talks a little bit about what career stuff is happening in the state and how to apply it. Questions, comments, concerns? Brandy, I used Calm's mission statement, at least what I thought was their mission statement from their site. Ed Rugby's and Devil's Lake and Hettinger. So, but I think that they're all pretty similar. No questions, no comments, then segue into Michael and career ready practices.
Okay, well, I am Michael Nutsoff and I work with Kelly at the office, North Dakota CTE. My position there right now is administrator of special populations, educational equity, any type of civil rights visits that we do with schools, also standards and curriculum specialist, and I also take care of private career school authorization in the state. So several different things. The first question, and you can put into the chat, is how many people have already heard me speak about the career ready practices? Yes or no? Just type it into the chat for me. Okay, so this is fairly new for most people. Great, because I don't want to bore you to tears with a presentation that you've already seen, just so that we're doing some more chat stuff because you've been listening for a while. Please type your favorite color into the chat right now. And last question for everyone after your favorite color is, if you could have anything to eat at the moment, what would you prefer to eat at the moment? Just don't even think about it. Just type whatever first comes into your mind. Okay, so thank you for your answers, for all that information. And that was more of a typing exercise to just get you to think and use something different than just your listening skills. Because I work in government, we collect information and we will never use it again. You didn't hear that from me. But anyway, I will try to share my screen right now. Hopefully this will work. Not too sure. Oh. Okay. This is new for us because we usually do not use Zoom. So,
We see it.
okay, so we'll see if I can go through the different slides. So the career ready practices, the rubrics and the examples. Okay, is it going to the next slide?
It is.
Yes. Okay, I have no idea what I'm doing, Kelly. Don't worry. This is all basically a crapshoot, so no idea. Okay, so what are the career ready practices, or what we refer to as the CRP, not to be confused with anything agricultural. But the career ready practices are a specific set of words or terminology that we use in CTE land, and we hope that everybody else will also use them in other areas as well. But they were 12 facets of soft skills, workplace skills, whatever you want to call them, you can call them, but we call them the career ready practices. So when you hear that term, this is what it means. This is the only thing that it means. But other people in the past have called them soft skills, workplace skills, and they are constituted of 12 different facets that were developed by a national organization, now known as Advanced CTE. In the old days, it went by some other acronym that I cannot even remember, but basically it's the National Association of Directors of CTE. So Wade Sick, who is our boss in our office, is a member of that. And just think of everybody like him, and all of the other 50 states, territories have one of him in that position. They belong to that group. They brought together in 2012, so it is already 11 years old, they brought together a group of different educators, administrators, business leaders, more importantly, and they created these 12 different things. They basically created the sentence. These are the things that we look for when we were looking for soft skills. They created a paragraph to describe it, and then they didn't really do anything more. We in North Dakota took those 12 and fleshed them out. And we also created an assessment, which I'm going to hopefully show a little bit to you today, for teachers, counselors, anybody, even workforce individuals, anybody can use this assessment to try to assess the individual, the student, on how they are doing in any soft skill, or I should really be using the word career ready practice. We created our model in 2014. What are the career ready practices individually? We'll get to this, but I always start off with why is this important? And I don't spend much time beyond this slide because I wouldn't be telling you this if I didn't think it was important. So first of all, knowledge is key to anything that we do in education, but quality, refined workplace skills make application of that knowledge possible. We know that. You can be smart, but you have to apply what you know in life. And we are responsible, like it or not, to both teach the students knowledge in school, but also help them to apply that knowledge. And therefore, we are kind of assessing it in every way, shape, or form. We all assess things in everyday life. People will say when they look at this assessment or rubrics, as I'm going to go into them, they're very subjective. All of life is very subjective. All of education is very subjective. How many things have you gone to that you get a survey at the end of it? Surveys, our assessments are subjective. We're constantly giving our own opinion. And that sometimes means that we're judging other people and judging other entities. So why use the rubrics? Why use the career ready practices? If students don't have these skills, we can use the career ready practices to tell them what they are and what we're looking for out in the working world. So it defines a common language among us as educators and the business world. It defines definitions. And if the students are already showing these different workplace skills or career ready practices, they can be assessed to know how they measure up and how they can become better. And therefore, it is a motivational tool as well for them. And now we get into what the 12 are. All of this information, by the way, can be found on our webpage for North Dakota CTE. So you can grab any of this information in the documents free of charge. You can pass it out to anyone you love or people that you don't like, but use it as Christmas gifts and print it off to your heart's content. But the 12 career ready practices are as such. The first is called act as a responsible and contributing citizen and employee. These are the sentences, by the way, that came from the national. So these are, I'm just giving you as were given to us by national group. 2 is apply appropriate academic and technical skills. 3 is to attend to personal health and financial well-being. 4 is communication, very, very important one. And I will say out of the 12, we have narrowed these down to those that we feel are more important possibly, or ones that we must have, and those that are taken care of and should be taken care of, but maybe in a minor role. The next one, number 5, is consider the environmental, social, and economic impacts of your decisions. 6 is to demonstrate creativity and innovation. 7, employ valid and reliable research strategies. 8 is to utilize critical thinking to make sense of problems and persevere in solving them. Next one, number 9, is to do something that is under the thing that is across the top of my screen, and I cannot read it, so you'll have to read it for yourself, but it's basically about management. The Zoom thing is right across that sentence, and I cannot read it. Number 10 is to plan education and career path aligned to your personal goals, or goal setting, really. 11 is technology, and that can be in any way, shape, or form of technology. Now, some people have asked us to review our standards or look at these again because we're getting into more forms of technology. We aren't going to look at them again because this element encompasses all elements of technology, past, present, future. And you can fit whatever you are doing currently today into this standard. 12 is to work effectively in teams, and therefore it is the big old teamwork element and how well. Again, as educators, as counselors, we watch students every single day in what they do, whether that is an everyday class, whether that's a special project, if that's out doing whatever they want to do. Business leaders do this. We do this as a general public. We see people acting and reacting to their environment. So we are making judgment calls. This is just codifying it and putting into one place where we agree on these are the things that we're looking for truly, and this is how you measure up. So those are the 12. Now, we created out of those 12, we created under each of the 12, we did substandards. And some of them have 12, some of them have 5, some of them have 7. And then we created a rubric 4, 3, 2, 1, so that a teacher or whomever can then assess the student on each of those substandards and the 12 at large. So I give you 2 pages. We call what I call the shortened rubric. Okay, the large rubric is about 26 pages in length. Rubrics are large. If you look at any rubric and you have all the words written out, what is a 4, what is a 3, what is a 2, is it 1? It's all written out in words, so it's 26 pages long. But we wanted to make something that is only 2 pages. And that's why you really need to take a look at the large document, the 26 pages, read it, but internalize it, and then start using what we call the shortened rubric, because we don't always have to look at the long version to remember how to do the short version. Short version is what you'll probably be working on. Most teachers have this in PowerSchool already, so there's not even, they don't have to use paper and pencil if they don't wish to. Most schools have this uploaded into PowerSchool, and it can all be tracked through technology. This is the short rubric. You see that we've shortened those sentences down. You only see 7 of them here, obviously, on this side of it. But we've shortened the sentences down to 1 or 2 words. So for example, number 1 was a long sentence, but now we've reshortened it up to responsible employee. Okay, that explains it. 2 is technical skills. I remember I talked about number 4. That was a big long sentence. It's now just communication. And now under each one of those, you see what in the long version would be a sentence. And I'm not going to go into depth right now on each one of these. We've shortened this on this version to a much shorter idea of a couple words. So for example, under health and support number 3, it's broken down into 7 subsections. And you see it's healthy living, knowing about safety, working safely, hygiene, calculating accuracy, budgeting, investment, all those different things. So would you be doing an activity or reviewing your students on every single one of these every day? No, but you could catch hygiene in one activity in this part of the semester. And a couple of weeks later, you could be working on something with communication. And then the next week, you could be doing something with research skills. And then putting them all together to make a whole grade for the student, a final career ready practice grade for the student. So this is a short rubric. Again, this is something you can grab from our webpage. This is the second side, so it is a 2-pager, and it's the short version, 8 through 12 on this side. So we're going to take a look at one of these in particular so that you grasp how it's used individually. And I give you an example. I think we'll only probably go through 1 example, maybe 2. And since none of you have heard my presentation on this before, that's great, because then you won't know some of my preset jokes that I always do for this one. In the real classroom, we're going to look at communicate clearly, effectively, or communication. These are the actual full sentences that are created as the substandards to communication. Again, these are the full sentences. You'd have to go to the large 26-page document to read these. But once you read them and you know them, you can go to the shortened version or the short rubric to remember them when you're actually assessing them. So number 1, you can read by yourself, but we've turned number 1, that sentence, into the short version of itself, which is basically communicating well overall. Number 2, you can read that sentence for yourself, but if you read through it and you sum it up and summarize it into 1, 2, 3 words at most, the shortened version we call communicating through presentation, some type of presenting form, which students and we do all the time. 3 can be summed up as communicating new ideas, versus what you already know. 4 is dealing with listening and speaking, or short version, timely listening and speaking. Shocking how this goes, isn't it? 5, listening well. Communication doesn't only talk about talking, it talks about how we listen to each other as well. 6, there is an element of technology and communication, even though there is a whole separate technology piece to the career ready practices. We do touch on some in others. Everything is commingled and works together. So you can assess communication through technology. And that can be any form of technology, really. It doesn't necessarily mean a presentation like you're seeing in front of you. The last one, number 7, communicating through written form, letters, emails, any type of thing. Texts would be a written form of communication. So this is what you'd see on the shortened rubric. Okay, going through the example, we're going to take a look at the listening effectively. Our short version is listening well. How would this play out? How would I assess this as an educator? In the long version rubric, again, you have a choice of giving a student a 4, a 3, a 2, or a 1. So in the long version, you're going to see, what does a 4 look like? Thoughtfully and consistently listen to and reflect on the information and intentions of the message. That would receive or get the kid a 4. Now, a 4 is a high flyer in our system, as most standards-based grading systems use it. 4 is above and beyond. Most kids are not going to get a 4, and they shouldn't. They're going to get a 3. For this particular listening well, a 3 would mean effectively listening to and reflect on the information and intentions of a message. Difference between a 4 and a 3 in this particular case, and in many cases in our rubric, are the words thoughtfully and consistently. You can really only give a 4 if you see it over the course of time and a pattern. 3s are given a little bit more easily and at one instance. But it could be very difficult for a student to get a 3. When we tested the rubrics, we did use these in the elementary school as well. So we did have elementary teachers using this. 2, the student is not really necessarily performing up to where you think that student should be, but they're attempting to listen. And number 1, I hate to put it this way, but I always do. We don't have a 0, so 1 is bottom of the barrel, people. They're a rock, they're barely making it through the day. Okay, I hate to put it that way, but that's what it is. They don't do it, so they're going to get a 1. That's based on people saying that we shouldn't put zeros in our system. I believe 0 should be in the system, but other people did not, so we give them a 1. Kind of like your participation pin. Here you go, Johnny. You did a job today. It wasn't great, but you were here. Okay, so 4, 3, 2, 1. Okie dokie. So here is the example that I give in a classroom. Mrs. Staubsauger is a high school family and consumer science teacher who traditionally has a unit on how to make pudding from scratch. The process of tempering eggs is often best shown and explained rather than read from a recipe card. Therefore, she only lists temper eggs in the recipe. She twice does the egg tempering demonstration herself before sending them off into groups. And in walking around the room while they're doing their group work, Mrs. Staubsauger briefly watches each group as they follow the steps she gave during the process tempering eggs into the mixture. Those groups that accomplished the feat well, or at least did everything as told, even if the end results vary, and that's a very important thing, score well on listening competency. Now, when they're scoring, teachers are using this rubric, they're scoring something that is a career-ready practice. That does not mean you throw out your traditional grading system in lieu of this. Use them both. You can give the students a traditional grade for all you want to. That's fine. A, B, C, D, and F for the overall project. But you're also giving them on individual points of what they're doing in a group activity or an individual activity. This is what she saw. David's group does it. And I can't read the whole full sentence. Again, the Zoom bar is right across that section, so you can read it for yourself. Annie's group does everything as told, even though they mixed up the sugar and the salt. big problem in that one. But they did what they were told to because they listened. They just didn't use the right ingredients. Alan's group remembers something about keeping the eggs to the side, but later adds them all right to the pot. And Madison's group adds the eggs right away in the beginning. Now, I should have prefaced this when I was going through egg tempering. Do I need to explain egg tempering to people? Just yes, no, we know how to temper things into recipes. Okay, so basically, some of these elements, for example, Annie's group, you can actually mix up sugar and salt and it'll still look like pudding at the end. So how did they listen to the egg tempering element when Mrs. Staubsauger is going to measure them on just that element? Now they could be getting an F for mixing up the sugar and salt, but she's asking or assessing them on how well they listen to this element. Well, this is an interpretation, but David's group also asked if you notice the sentence that they could use this in frosting making. Typically, German chocolate frosting uses this method. Okay, so they're applying this tempering to something above and beyond. They could get a 4 from her, and probably an A. Annie's group, again, they messed something else up, but they listened to this element, so they're probably going to get a 3. Alan's group could work out, but they didn't do it because they didn't listen correctly, and so they could get a 2. And Madison's group didn't listen at all, and they're going to get a 1. This would be in conjunction with other grades. Okay, I think we have just one more time or a little bit more time for another example. This one is going to use a demonstrate creativity and innovation career ready practice, number 6. Okay, we're going to look at number 2, or the substandard number 2, which is create new and worthwhile ideas using both incremental and radical concepts. Or actually, this is all of them. There's 7 of them, sorry, substandards to number 6. We are not going to use number 2 in this example. We are going to use, I forgot about the slide. It actually makes them into their shortened versions. But we're going to look at researching ideas. Okay, I'm not going to read these out for you, but notice that we do have 4 points for this element. And then I'll give you the classroom setting. Okay, so Mr. Schnorbart teaches his annual business lesson on stock markets. The students must buy, trade, sell, and follow the stock market shares they feel will do the best and obtain the highest profit in the end. Again, this would be a work-based learning modified or in the classroom situation. So you can use this in everyday classroom, but you can also use this rubric if you send kids out into co-op experiences, and they are actually in the workplace. So this can be used either or. The winner will get to go to Bob's all-you-can-eat seafood buffet, tackle supply, and beauty shop as a reward after this element. In the ongoing project, Mr. Schnorbart observes the student and the results each day and in totality. So here are the results. You can read number 1, Rick doesn't look for ways to do anything. Bertie stuck to only a few of the things that Mr. Schnorbart talked about. Gertie was successful by following and trying everything. And Bert used everything and even went above and beyond. We all do projects and things with our students. We all observe them every day. I think after observation, we can make these judgment calls. The rubrics, the career ready practices just helps us all to be honest and share the definition with what we're doing among ourselves in education, and also with what we're doing in the business world. And hopefully it'll catch on in North Dakota that we can use it among many different elements. Right now we're in talks with job service and everybody else that we can possibly even do badging that can be recognized for students going out into the workforce. So that is just a nutshell a very summarized version of the career ready practices. You can find the large documents on our website. And I can take any questions that you might have on career ready practices if you have them. Okay, with that, my contact information is on our website as well. If you can't easily, contact Kelly and she'll put you in touch with me. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Michael and Kelly. I'm sure people know how to get a hold of Kelly, at least for sure. So, all right. And then Kelly, did you say, were you going to share the PowerPoint?
I will send it to you, Mandy. Yes.
Perfect. And then I'll post it on the hub so people, once they view the video, they have that resource as well. So, but
Perfect.
thank you both so much. And we'll sign off from here then.
Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Bye.